Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Coffee Q&A, your daily dose of Coffee Q&A here on the onocoffee channel. I'm your host, and if you're just joining us for the very first time, we do this live stream most Monday through Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern, where we talk about coffee and things related to coffee. So how's it going today? Our coffee today is something that Andrew picked up during his trip to visit his family down in New Zealand. This is called the Raglan Roast, and it's from a company called Raglan Roast in Raglan, New Zealand. Now, Raglan is a town that's actually a surfside town that is about 2 hours south of Auckland. So if you're flying to Auckland, you have to drive 2 hours south. And then it's about, a half an hour or hour from west of Hamilton. So Hamilton's a little bit city further south of New Zealand. And it's a beach town. And evidently, according to what I was reading about from these guys, several years ago, quite a long time ago, these guys who started Raglan Roast, they're a bunch of surfers, and they just grabbed some old roaster and just decided to make coffee and roast coffee. And what they did, they had this type of system where it was an honor-based system. I guess they made the coffee, they put it out, they let people come and get coffee and pay them when they could. Because, here's the thing. So if you're a surfer, you've got your board shorts and you're trying to go surfing, and, there's really no pockets to keep a wallet, and there's not many places to store a wallet while you're surfing. So a lot of surfers may not have wallets, so they kind of had this system where, you come, have coffee, go surf, and then come back. And after you finish surfing, come back and pay. And they did. And so it's done fairly well. They evidently have 12 locations around New Zealand. And Andrew brought this back and said, let's give it a try. So we're going to give this a try. Now, it says here that it is a mocha java. But when you read the description on their website, the mocha java, they talk about being a blend of coffees, which is a little bit it confuses me a little bit, because mocha java I guess it can be a blend. It would be like mocha coffee from Yemen. Historically, it would be mocha from Yemen and then java from Indonesia. So it could be that could be it. I mean, maybe that's what it is. Mocha java, and it's a fairly medium dark roast, I think. Well, we're going to find out, but yeah, so New Zealand actually has a very strong cafe culture. Ever since I've been in the business, a lot of people talked about how good coffee shops are in New Zealand. People say that there's a lot of great coffee shops in Melbourne, and I'm sure there are. But you know what? I've always been more fascinated with the New Zealand scene. And actually, that's been more because I'm just more fascinated with New Zealand overall, because New Zealand has, since I used to live in Honolulu, there's a lot of cultural similarities between the native peoples, the Hawaiians, and the Maori, which are the native people of New Zealand. The New Zealand, actually, kind of familiar, is originally called Aotearoa, which I believe means land in the clouds. Is that right? Maybe. I think I heard that somewhere in the past. I don't know if that's quite accurate, but yeah, we've got this. So that's why the title or the name, the word on the thumbnail says whakawaiwai. Well, and that's one thing I've been trying to figure out. I believe that it's pronounced whakawaiwai, according to what I've read. I haven't been able to hear anyone pronounce it, so I don't know. And the reason I'm a little bit confused is because in Hawaiian language, W's are typically pronounced with a V sound, right? So in Hawaiian it'd be whakawaiwai, which there's different words in Hawaiian than there are, even though they're very similar in a lot of respects. They share some words, but it's not completely. So there's part of me that's confused. Kent, how are you? Good to see you. How's it going? So we're going to give this a try and see what it's like and what's going on with that. But yeah, mocha java. Let's give it a try and see what we got in here. We've got our bag. This is a 250 gram bag. And it sells for 14 New Zealand dollars, which is roughly $8.50. So it's about $16 a pound. 250 grams is about 8 ounces. So that's about half a pound. And, which is, price-wise, it's, fairly average, I think, for pricing. Oh, that looks nice. Look at that. From what I can see in there, it looks very even. I'm going to pour it out so you can see it. Make sure that our bowl is wiped out here. All right, look at that. It always looks so much darker. There we go. That's a lot better. That's a little more accurate to what it looks like to me. It seems a shade lighter than what I'm seeing on the reference monitor, but it's a good medium roast. So you can see here there's a little bit of color differentiation, right? Turn that back on. You see those lighter ones, right? These are typically lower density coffees because mocha Java or mocha coffees from Yemen, let's presume they are. It doesn't really say on their description. Since natural processing it's a natural process. So basically, if you're not familiar with natural processing is they take the ripe cherries off the trees and then they lay them out in the sun and dry naturally. Versus wash coffees, which are they remove the bean from the hull mechanically, and then they dry the bean that has the mucilage on top of it in the sun. And it's a different way of doing it. Or actually, what they do, they put it into a water bath to cause fermentation, which removes the mucilage off the top, and then they dry it in the sun or in mechanical dryers until they're dry. So the big difference between natural is that naturals tend to have a fruity character because they leave all of that fruit pulp material on it while it dries, but it can also result in a little bit of lower density coffees getting through, which don't roast evenly and stick out. Like, for example, you can very readily see those. Well, maybe not with that color. That's so terrible, this color. But you can see them right there. So what you can pick them out. You don't have to. I'm going to pick it out and toss it. And then we can also go look through here and see if there's any other ones. Oh, yeah, there's another one. Get rid of that. Some are going to have slight variations, right? And if I really look closely, like here's a lighter one, but that's not terribly light. Well, we get rid of that too. This one is darker, but I would not get too crazy about worrying about color variations. Like the really stark ones, yeah, get rid of those. That's fine. But you can see here, that's a shade lighter than this one, right? But I wouldn't worry. But I'm not going to worry about those. These lighter ones I will toss. So we'll get rid of those. These are just some things that can happen during the processing of the coffee. Now, one thing about these coffees, when it comes to that density, so typically there's a sorting that will happen in the green stage of the coffee. So after the coffee's processed, typically they'll find ways to sort it. Different facilities will have different equipment. Like there's actually like a density kind of table that will shake and find the heavier versus the lighter and kind of remove the lighter ones. I was going to say it's not impossible to have zero defect coffees, but zero defect coffees also incurs a higher cost, right? So you can do mechanical and optical as well as laser sorting of the coffees, but a lot of times they'll eventually have to resort to hand sorting. So you'll have women typically, because women tend to have better senses than men and greater understanding of nuance. And so women will typically sort, especially in Central America or Central America, they'll sort out the coffees by hand because they just know what to look for. And those can be done, but now you're increasing the cost of the coffee. So there's always a balance in professional coffee that you're trying to find as good a quality as you possibly can while still being able to maintain a price point or at least an affordable point of cost for people to buy, right? So for example, $14, to me, $8 for a half pound isn't too bad. Right? That's not a bad price to pay. You can use that in a week or whatever, and you'll be fine. But you have to kind of balance that. Like I'm working right now with a coffee that I just ordered. What was it? $50 a pound? Yeah, it was like $50. It was a $50 for 4 ounces. So, there's you can go for ultimate and high quality, the ultimate and high quality, if price is not an object, right? But price tends to be an object for a lot of people, right? Like not many people are going to rush out and buy $50 for 4 ounces. Right? So that's kind of what you have to balance. So, like, yes, you could sort this better. You could do all kinds of processing to get it much cleaner. Mom, how are you, man? And that'd be great. However, you might not be able to, you know, sell a lot of it. And that's really part of the game, is always trying to sell as much volume as you can so that you can make enough money to do everything that you want to do. All right, so let's make some coffee now. Oh, I better turn on the water. So how is everything going for all of you guys? We had some snow here in Maryland. Not as much as you guys had up in New York, Mom. I know you guys got hit pretty heavily. I saw a report with the mayor up there, Mamdani, and he said, yeah, there was portions of, I think Rockaway Beach got 21 inches. It's like, holy moly, that's crazy. So we only got maybe 6 inches maybe. So it wasn't too bad where I am, but I saw it was pretty heavy duty. Crazy. All right, so let's make some coffee. We're going to get our scale. I have resurrected our, what do you call it? Our Gen 2 finally. Turn on our fellow. We can zoom in just a little bit more. We can zoom in a little bit more. All right. $24 grams. We're going to brew with the hoop brewer because I haven't used that in a while. And we want to get ourselves more familiar. Now, the problem is 24.4, that's fine. One of the things I don't recall is whether or not what our grind settings were last time. Any thoughts on like how we should be? I'm thinking maybe we should be kind of medium, right? Were we medium last time? I think we're medium. So we're going to try that. We're just right on the 6. Mom says schools are closed. Oh yeah. Here in Baltimore, we didn't. It turns out I thought they were closing schools, but evidently they only did 2 hour late yesterday. So it wasn't too bad here, because I guess then what helped where we were is that since we didn't get that heavy snow that you guys got, we were a little bit. It just wasn't. The roads were all still fairly warm from the last few days, so it wasn't too bad. All right, so our hoop brewer. So our water is starting to get into the boiling. So hoop, as you know, we've got the hoop, this shadow hoop, and now we're going to take it and we're going to take off this. We take off. Oh gosh, it's been a while, so I'm trying to remember. We take this center off, and then we need our filters. Ken says New York looked like a Nordic city. I'm sure that in your part of the world that this 24 inches of snow is no big deal, huh, Ken? You're like a 24 inches. It's like 3/4 of a meter. Oh, no problem. No problem. All right, so we've got our filters now locked in. And what I don't know, but I like this idea that it's like a drum. I wonder if there's like a tune you can like a tone that you see. That doesn't sound like a drum. If you don't tighten the drum head, it doesn't sound very nice. And we need to brew into something. Oh yes, we're going to brew into our kobu. That's the only thing that really that'll sit on top of. Then we need to put this here. Right, okay, that's good. Now we need to change our brew assist. We're going to do the brew assist thing. So, Mom, how bad is it where you are? Yeah, I was surprised. Like when we had the last snow, we had big snowfall a couple weeks back, right? And we had there was a lot of school closures for a long time. I was really surprised. right, so put that in there. And now, Ken says it's a big deal when all of it comes at once and the wind makes it. Oh, gosh, yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. The wind always kind of makes it worse, especially when it whips it up into like big drifts and you're like, oh, God. Not that I know. I've never seen that. I've only seen photos of things like that. Like that. I think they have that problem in Buffalo. But here, we don't. Here in Maryland, we don't have any kind of issues like that. Mom says we had a good amount of. Oh, God. Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, I was like, what, 20? You know, and here, I mean, it's like yesterday was not even, it was cold, but it was fairly warm. I mean, it was above freezing. So as I'm shoveling, it was melting. So it's not too bad as long as which is kind of how Maryland typically is. Maryland is typically a place where we'll have snow, but it'll be relatively warm. So it tends to melt relatively quickly. Whereas it's unusual for like the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks that we've had the snow here. It's very unusual for us to have temperatures that are cold enough to hold the snow in place. And that was the issue we had here in Baltimore and DC and this area, is that all this snow fell, which we're not used to this much snow. We're used to snow, but we're not like Buffalo. Again, Buffalo, they're well equipped to deal with things like this. So a lot of people were getting upset after like a few days because they're like, well, how come you haven't removed all the snow? And it's like, well, there's no place for the snow to go. And that's the one issue with snow, is that it's frozen. Now you have to store it somewhere or stack it or put it in the harbor or do something with it. Get a big machine to melt it. And there's no way around. And if it stays below freezing, it never melts. So it's like, it was inconvenient. Can't say that it's brutal or rough. It's just inconvenient, right? Like the roads are narrower because, well, they still can't get the ice off of the road. So, yeah. All right, we're waiting for the water to boil. We're going to make the coffee. Are there coffees or brewers that you're interested in us exploring here? Let me know, because I'm curious to know what we might be looking for. Rusty messaged me yesterday. He's like, hey, man, there's this twin brewer. There's evidently some kind of like conical-shaped brewer that is double feeding, so you can make 2 cups at a time. And I was like, oh, that might be kind of interesting. All right, just waiting for this to happen. How was your guys' weekend? Otherwise, other than the snow, anything interesting happened? I'm trying to think what we did. I was supposed to, on Sunday, we were supposed to go to my niece's birthday party. My niece turned 28, and so she was like, I'm going to treat everyone. I was like, oh, all right. Very nice. So we're supposed to go to have a nice like brunch on Sunday, but since we were worried about the snow, everybody was kind of nervous, and they were like, let's postpone it. And I was like, it's just a little rain. It's not a big deal. But and it turned out that it was we were a little bit too cautious because snow didn't actually come until like later in the afternoon. We were supposed to go for brunch at like 11, so it would have been plenty of time, but that's all right. All right, now we got to boil. So the nice thing about this brewer is that we don't have to transfer it into a special brewer to do whatever, right? We can just go straight into our vessel, which is really, really great. I really like that idea. All right, let's do that. Oops, wrong one. That's coming later. So we're now going to take this. Oh, we need to. Oh, man. Oh, this is stupid. Anyway, let's just do this. Oh, we have to do on the outside. See, I got to remember to do the outside. We're going to pour 350 grams total. That's the one thing I kind of like, is that you just pour straight into it. good. 354. Now let's look at that. Giving you some extra spice, although of course it's fogging up, so ain't no spice happening there. Ken says, finally had a couple days with our nicer temperatures up here after 10 weeks of freezing cold weather. Oh man, 10 weeks. God. How do you guys like manage? Like how when you say it's cold, like when it's the freezing cold weather, like how cold is it in Norway? Like I've only been to Norway like in the temperate months, summertime, and I've only been to Norway once, which is like springtime. So it wasn't too bad. But I'm like, when you're in the middle of it all, like how heavy is that? Let's see how it's brewing. We really do need a light up here, don't we? What I'm always impressed with this brewer is that it does fully saturate the coffee. Now, I would like to see it kind of falling, right? Like get more, but it does feel like there's a little bit of a cap on top. But man, I do like it. There's something very nice about this. You just kind of, put it on here and you don't have to do anything with it. Just let it go and it does its thing. So yeah, there it is. There it is. We're on the way with our brewing. It's a little bit slow. I think it's a little bit slow. Like, well, I guess it's not that slow. It's 2 minutes. Well, yeah, it's a little bit slow. 2:07. We're only maybe halfway through this. So next time, remember, we got a little bit coarser, maybe 7 on the coarseness. I did try to, I did finally fix the grinder. I had to take it apart and unclog it. I did that this morning because I was thinking, you know what? I'm getting a little bit tired of making espresso all the time. We need to make something else for a change. And I wanted to try this raglan as a brewed coffee. Let's see. Now I'm looking at the bag here of the raglan, and they don't seem to have any roast dates on them. But I guess we saw a little bit of bloom here on top, so it's not terrible. Not terrible. Ken says, I'm on the West Coast, so it's not too bad. So for us, having long periods around negative 10 degrees Celsius, like we've had now, is not appreciated. But it's way cold. Oh, way colder in the East. We had about that, negative 10, negative 15. This time it was pretty harsh. It was pretty harsh for several days. So I understand. I understand. All right, so it's still brewing, although like it feels like it stopped. Right? Like, oh, it's still going. There's a stream going on there. It's just very, very slow now. It's fair, but you can't really see it with all the condensation, but it is still brewing, albeit slowly. Now it is a little bit. I can see the water line, so we're actually slightly tilted. I know it's probably worse. Huh. I'm going to hold it there to try to balance it. It's actually slightly tilted that way, like that this side is lower than this side. All right, looks like all the liquid has entered our brewer. So we're going to get rid of this. One of the nice things about this brewer, the hoop brewer, is that you're supposed to be able to just open it up like this. Now it flows through, and it does kind of but it does catch here on the lips. So there is still some cleaning that will need to be done, but somewhat easy. I guess not as easy and not as clean as the AeroPress, but what can you do? What can you do, right? What can you do? All right, let's see here. Here is our elixir. So probably a little bit, actually I'm using this. Yeah, the roast is a little bit darker than what we've seen in other roasts, but I think it'll be fine. I don't think it'll be a problem. Also in the bag, it says here that it's a smooth all-rounder with cherries, cacao, and spices. So those are some of our flavor notes for this coffee. So let's see what we might get to taste. I mean, one thing to keep in mind about flavor notes is that flavor notes really are guidelines, general guidelines. Like it's not. I wouldn't. I know sometimes you might put heavy, or you don't put a lot of reliance upon the tasting notes of your coffees, especially the ones that get more flowery and descriptive, right? They get more specific. Those are great to like try to get a feel for the coffee, to feel it. Is this the kind of coffee that I might personally like? That's a great way to think of it, but don't rely too heavily on, because one thing to remember is that you never know when those notes were made, right? Like for example, are the notes that's on the packaging or on the website, is that notes from the time that whoever bought let's say they're the type of roaster that goes to origin and works with the farms. They make these notes of these coffees. They decide to buy it, and they have notes on it. I like this flavor. This is what we tasted, and they buy it and they bring it to America or bring it to whatever country, and they roast it there. Are the notes from them? Are the notes from the roast? Are the notes from the production roast? Are the notes from the actual production that you got? They could be quite different because coffee is always dynamic, it's always changing. So what it might have tasted like last week may not necessarily be what it'll taste like this week. And even more so, depending on how long that timeline is. There's some good bitterness. There's definitely some kind of bitter, edgy kind of character to it. Kind of like there's a dried fruit character to it, but I wouldn't say it's like cherries. I would say there's some kind of fruit, like a dirty fruit, like a dry, harsher kind of fruit. There's a bitter character that reminds me of bitter melon. It's not a very sweet coffee, but the body's good. I mean, we're going to see how it tastes over time and see what we can see. See what we can see, right? All right, so I also brought this since it was yesterday. So yesterday turned out was my mom's birthday, and my brother brought and his wife brought a cake for my mom. We got together for dinner, and I stole the cake. Right, so I stole the cake, and I thought I would share it here with you. Here, this is the cake. Got a little bit of damage right there, but this is a cake from a bakery called Tous Le Jours. Tous Le Jours is a bakery from South Korea, and they've opened up. It's been a while. They've been in the United States for quite a few years, and they opened up. The nearest one to me has always been this one that's about 40 minutes away, half an hour, maybe over half an hour, depending on traffic. And like a lot of like Asian bakeries, they're a little bit less sweet than Western bakeries. So it's a little bit more reserved in sweetness and just a little bit more reserved in flavor. This particular one is what's called the Strawberry Lychee Cloud Cake. And it's kind of like a little bit, I guess, loftier kind of cake. And it's got this, and it could also be that they're using whipped cream as their the icing. So there's that lightness to it. But as you can see here, it's already been sliced because we ate a bit of it already. But you can see there's some cream on the inside and a little strawberry cream on the outside, and then some strawberry jam on the inside as well. So we're going to see how this goes with our coffee to see, whether it's nice or not, or who knows. We're going to cut ourselves a proper slice. A good size slice. There we go. Now, I know a lot of people will just lay the slice down on their plate, but I really like to have it so that it's nice and high like this, right? I like it like that. Actually, let me get a I like it like this, right? So I like it to be I don't know, I just like it that way. That way, you get that kind of television look to it. So we got this first bite, which is going to have a bit of our strawberry on it. So we'll see how this goes with the coffee. Very nice and soft. Oh yeah, that's nicer. That's a nice combination together. I think this Raglan roast is probably a coffee that is, because it's got that bitterness, I think it might be better with a little bit of sweet, a little bit of milkiness. Like you're putting cream and sugar. And I think that carries well with the cake. Like the bitterness of the coffee is offset by the sweetness of the cake. And the nice thing too, the cake's not terribly sweet, right? It's just like a light sweetness, so very nicely balanced. Ken says, cake looks delicious. Got to leave now. Have a great day. Thank you, Ken. Good to see you. Hope you have a wonderful one. Off to the gym, I imagine. All right, let's do some more cake in there. So the Raglan roast, pretty good. And the cake, lovely. Just lovely. There's a particular character to this coffee that I'm trying to think about. I can't. There's a component to it that I can't quite identify. But I don't know. But it's good. Overall, it's very enjoyable. Yeah. So, I mean, there it is, the Raglan roast. That's pretty, from New Zealand, so quite enjoyable. It does say here, roasted by animals. I guess, they consider themselves to be animals, and tested on humans. It says that here. What do they say here? Coffee can be complicated, but our mission is simple: better brews that don't break the bank. Oh, that's good. So, $8 for the half pound, not bad. We got your back, New Zealand. And our mission is to make sure great coffee is a luxury you can afford. We know coffee isn't just about caffeine and routine. It's a shared human experience, a conduit to conversation, creativity, and community. Taking our humble brew from the remote, rugged coast of Raglan to your place is a pleasure we'd like to last. So we've committed to developing long-standing relationships with reputable growers and suppliers of great quality coffee. Better practice over profit for this cup and the next. And then it says here, coffee is a fresh product that needs a short while to settle after it's roasted, and then the flavor clock starts ticking. Get the best out of your brews by clipping the bag shut or transferring content to its airtight container. I'm just surprised that, since they said that, I'm surprised they don't actually put the date there somewhere on this package. Oh, no, there it is. I'm sorry. There, it does have a date. Batch number 120, and this is roasted on, October 29, 2025. So it's a little bit older, but that's all right. It does have a date here. So Raglan roast from New Zealand. Raglan, Waikato, New Zealand. Yeah. I got the links down below for them in case you're interested. So if you want to order something, give it a try. I don't know if they ship outside of New Zealand, but they might. So thank you, Andrew. I appreciate you bringing that to me. And I think that's pretty much all that I have for you today. Good to see all of you today. Thank you very much for tuning in. Always good to see all of you. Back again tomorrow with more of the Coffee Q&A. So hope you have a great one, and see you next time.